Welcome to Improv for the Podcast. On this week's episode, we're joined by Ken Wolf, who will tell us all about his improvisational journey. We'll play a game, and most importantly, learn how he improv'd his life. Let's hit it. Welcome to Improv for the Podcast. I'm your host, Michael E. Evans, and tonight I am joined by the attorney, Ohio State fan, improviser, Ken Wolf.
Good morning. Afternoon.
Good evening.
Evening.
How you doing tonight, Ken?
Doing good.
Doing good.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. Matt recommended you to me, and I was like, oh, fantastic. So
I think the $20 must have meant something.
We do have a high budget here at the podcast. Look around, our makeup department, costumes, you can see we've got it all. But as we're getting into things, Ken, just could you give me in a quick summary? What's your relationship to this place, IFTP? How'd you find us?
Primarily for the last 40 years, I've been having breakfast and lunch at John O'Groats. And periodically I walk by to the car and I see the theater and I see the note, Improv for the People. And I kept saying, I want to try that one time. Never got around to it, never pushed it. And then it turned out that a friend of my wife's has been here now for maybe a year or two doing improv. And Kathy, I talked to her and said, how is that? She said, it's great fun. So I said, what the heck, I'll try it. And about 6 months ago, I signed up for the first class, and I've been doing it ever since.
There you go. Been doing it ever since. I got to ask about John O'Groats. Now, I haven't been, but I've heard the biscuits are they really all they're cracked up to be?
Yeah, the biscuits are incredible. They also make gluten-free biscuits, if that's a concern. But they used to be in a little tiny place down the street on Pico, and that's when I started going there. And they moved up here and have expanded, but it's been the same. And, the mother and father started it, and then the son is now running it. And it's just a great place, not only for breakfast, but it's a great place to have meetings. So, I've been coming, maybe once a week, sometimes twice a week, for forever.
Okay.
And it's good food.
Okay. I mean, that's a stunning endorsement.
Also, the fried chicken for lunch is spectacular.
Okay, fried chicken and biscuits?
You can get that too.
That's probably something I would do.
And if I do another 30 seconds, I might ask to get some little
fee.
Fee back there from.
Well, I think that's a good idea. We can head on down. I think they're closed, but
they're closed.
Maybe someone's there.
Brunch is terrific on Sundays too.
Okay, I'll have to try that. Yeah, I'm only ever over here at nighttime. And they're not open.
They close, I think, about 7.
Yeah. So I'm doing improv stuff, so I'm just not around. Okay, I'll be intentional about it. I've been coming over here for years and I've never gone, so I'll need to make it happen. All right. Well, before we get into our interview, Ken, you ready to play a little 3 things?
Sure.
All right, so we're going to play 3 things, but it's personal. So I got 3 categories for you. Okay. Each one, you'll just give me 3 things off the top of your head, and I'd say at least 2 of them are related to you. All right. So here we go. These are 3 things. Your first category, things you like to put on bread.
Peanut butter.
1.
Salami.
2.
And mayonnaise.
3. Very nice. Oh, good choices. Next category. Things you like about being a dad.
Things I like being a dad. Being a grandfather.
1.
Playing ball.
2.
And watching my kids grow.
3. Last category. John Grisham novels.
Sully.
1.
Paper Chase, not the Paper Chase, the Firm, which is a very good one.
2.
And there was the one about the judge who was the serial killer, and I forget the title of that one, but that was a good one too.
We'll take it. 3. These are 3 things. All right. So that first category, I just picked a random one, but I like your bread choices, Ken. I think
Okay.
mayonnaise, salami, peanut butter, excellent taste.
Not a combination.
No, that would be terrible. Yeah.
2 out of 3.
I think
2 out of 3 works
They'd
fine.
kick you out of a sandwich shop if you did that.
2 out of 3 work fine.
Peanut butter and salami sounds a terrible combination.
Well,
There are worse things.
yeah, I could think of it.
Yeah, there are worse things. All right. That second category, I asked you about being a father. Why did I ask you about being a father?
Why did you ask me about it?
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know. It's a good profession. I mean, it's a very fascinating experience to watch. You create something, and then you try to mold it a little bit, and you're not sure what effect you have on it. And then all of a sudden, things happen, like they quit crawling and they walk. That changes life. They go to school. Then they move out. And then they move back. And then they move out.
Yeah.
And then they get married. And then they have children. And the grandchildren situation becomes the best.
Yeah.
So, but I've enjoyed it a lot. When as a practicing attorney, I used to work with a firm. And I left my firm as a partner back in 1980. And one of the reasons was that I wanted to be able to go see my son and my daughter in their sports activities.
Yeah.
And I didn't want somebody looking over my shoulder saying, well, where were you today? You know, why weren't you here? Or why aren't you billing more? So I basically became a sole practitioner affiliated with a firm. So nobody was looking over my shoulders. And I think my son played 3 sports, played football, basketball, and baseball.
A lot of games.
And I think in his 4 years of high school, I think I missed 2 games out of that whole time. And then he also played in college. And I even went back for 2 or 3 games back east to Boston where he was at and saw those. And then my daughter got into it, and she became a volleyball player. And she played volleyball in high school and in college. And we watched those games. So, that was pretty much fun.
Yeah.
But I now have 4 granddaughters, so a lot of estrogen, which is great fun.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife has 3 sisters, so 4 daughters in
go.
total. So I've learned a lot getting to know that side of the
fun.
family.
It's good fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
two of the older granddaughters are now here in L.A. So they're living. One's just started school, and the other is working at the CAA.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And probably fun to have them around too.
Much fun.
Yeah.
Much fun.
Yeah. And they probably like that you're up here.
Yeah, they do, and it's fun to watch my son and daughter-in-law now going through the empty nest syndrome.
Yeah. You're like, I remember those days.
That's right.
Yeah. Imagine a bit of a shock initially.
It is. It is.
Wow. Okay. Last category. Why'd I ask you about John Grisham?
Yes. Why did you ask me about John Grisham? Well, he writes a lot of lawyer novels, and you look at them as it's hard for me to read novels because my training is to read so critically. You read contracts, you read leases, you read trusts, things of that nature. And so I read a novel very slowly and very critically. So what I started to do is listen to the books on tape. And that makes them flow great.
Yeah.
So I loved all the legal novels, and particularly the ones to see how realistic they were.
Yeah.
And then I got into the one Sully. I don't know whether you've read Sully or not.
I haven't.
Sully is about a basketball player, a African youngster who's very tall and very talented who comes to the United States to play basketball. And it's very unlike anything Grisham wrote, but it was terrific, and it has a very stunning ending. So I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, and different from the rest of his body of work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I like Grisham a lot.
Yeah. I would imagine, I don't know, is it tough to read a book that is so closely related to your line of work, like that crossover?
Not really. It does cause often a lot of humor that probably wasn't suggested by the author.
Yeah.
When you're saying they did that, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So that doesn't apply much.
Yeah, that's good. My wife, she's a teacher, and she often won't want to read a book or watch a movie or TV show that's focused on teachers because she's like, I want to get away from that, if I'm watching entertainment or reading something.
Yeah, when you watch the legal shows on television, those are really unrelated.
Yeah.
They walk in before the first commercial with their problem. The second commercial, they're working it out.
Yep.
They go to trial. By the third commercial, and it's all over.
It's done. Yeah.
60 minutes.
Yeah.
That isn't quite the way it works.
That would be very convenient, I think, if it did work like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a little longer.
Yeah. A little longer. There's a little more paperwork probably than what we see. Yeah. Okay. All right. So turning our attention to improv, Ken, I want to ask, when was the first time in your life you heard about, saw, just learned about what improv is?
When I came out to California, before I got married, we used to go to the comedy stores, and we went to the Improv and to the Groundlings.
Yeah.
And then I got married and started practicing, and about, I would say 40 years ago, I mean, I've been practicing over 50 years. So about 40 years ago, I saw an ad for an improv class that the Groundlings were producing. And I said to my wife, I'd like to do that once a week. She said, so go do it. And that's what I did. And so for about 2 years, I would go once a week and do improv for about 2 hours, and found it very fascinating. I always thought that I was quick and funny and liked to do puns a lot and everything. And after about the 4th or 5th week in improv, I realized that doesn't get you anywhere. Improv is a practice, and it has rules, and it has structure, and learning that structure was fascinating. So I did it, as I said, for about 2 years. And at the end of it, I said, what's next? And the improv people said, well, there is no next. This is where we finish our classes, unless you want to give up your practice and try to break into this. I said, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And that was it. And so, and 40 years go by, and I start walking by the theater here from John O'Groats, and I see the sign, IF, TP. And classes, adult classes. And after a while, I said, I'm going to try it. And that was about 6 months ago. And I signed up, and here I am.
Wow. So I want to go back to those initial Groundlings classes you were taking.
Yeah.
So it sounds like prior to that, I mean, you were living in Los Angeles, and you had already been seeing some comedy around town, going to the Improv, the Comedy Store. Had you previously, prior to starting those improv classes, were you interested in performing at all, doing comedy?
Oh, yeah. I did plays in high school.
Okay, yeah.
In fact, I was a unexpected comedian in Shakespeare. We did As You Like It, and I was a lord of the forest, and I was in my full forest gear with my sword, and I was giving a soliloquy or talk about jaques. So I put my foot up on the log and leaned on my sword, and the audience broke into laughter. And I couldn't figure out why.
Yeah.
And after I did my speech, I looked back, and the actor who was playing Puck was sitting behind me, and I had knocked his hat off when I leaned on the sword. So that was the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I did a little bit of theater at the local center. neighborhood theater stuff, couple of plays.
Yeah.
And then in law school, I was a producer of what was called the Harvard Law Review. But that was spelled R-E-V-U-E.
Like a musical review, right?
It was an original musical comedy with music and dancing. And we didn't have a lot of women in the class, so we had to pull them in from the universities around Boston. And that was another good way to meet women.
Yeah.
And we put on a full-blown 2.5-hour original musical comedy.
Wow.
And I did that for 3 years.
Yeah.
And
New every year?
new one every year.
Wow.
And we did about 6 or 7 performances, and used to get professors to come into the show with walk-ons, which always was a big fun.
Oh, the audience must have loved it.
The audience loved it.
Yeah.
And, so that was it. But then when I got out here, actually came out here to get into entertainment law. But that wasn't working out too well because I found out that you weren't having lunch with starlets, and you weren't going to parties. You were sitting in the back writing contracts and stuff. So I did that for a couple of years, but moved into other stuff. But always was interested in theater and music and musical comedy. And, so the improv sort of fit into that.
Yeah, that all kind of falls under that same umbrella. So growing up or in those early days, let's say maybe what were some of your comedic influences?
I like slapstick. I love the Marx Brothers. I still watch the Marx Brothers. They're brilliant. I liked George Carlin. He was one of my favorites. And on television, particularly the comedy of Sid Caesar and his group, particularly when they did their sketches, which were much of it was improv. Carol Burnett's show and Tim Conway, and in fact, I was watching the Elephant skit. I don't know whether you've ever watched that one.
I know I've read a lot of like comedy history books, so I know bits and pieces.
It's on YouTube, and it's Tim Conway telling the story of the 2 elephants who were Siamese and were attached at the trunk, and how they worked together, and it broke the whole cast up. It's still funny when you look at it.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that I've always enjoyed.
Yeah. I mean, just your experience. I mean, putting on that review at Harvard multiple years in a row, that's quite the feat. 2.5-hour original music, skits.
We had a few talented people.
Yeah.
People that were able to write the songs.
Yeah.
And they were always law-based. So of course. It was funny, and I even did a couple of cameo appearances in them, which were fun.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you're in LA, you're seeing shows, you take some classes. What was, during your time at the Groundlings, those 2 years you were there, that's a pretty significant amount of time, I'd say, to invest into improv. Do you think, what am I trying to ask here? What do you think you gained from that time you were at the Groundlings, or what did you learn?
Well, several things. The first thing is it took my mind off of my practice. I didn't have clients calling and saying, where's this and where's that, and starting to think about problems and having to deal with other lawyers and all that stuff. This was a chance to just let loose and be free and be outrageous if I wanted to, and just play around and meet some people. The interesting thing, I think in the entire time I was there, I don't think anybody ever asked me what I did for a living. And so nobody knew what I did.
Yeah.
So I was just some dude coming in and making a fool of himself, or whatever.
Yeah, and maybe that anonymity was nice.
I liked the anonymity a lot, and I liked the just the break. It was just it's like stepping into a steam room for an hour. Just nothing else was around there.
Yeah.
And there were some good-looking women in the class.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding the fact that I was still married, I had to be careful, but it was fun.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. So why do you think you stopped at the Groundlings? Because it sounds like they kind of gave you that choice. Well, you've been doing class. Either quit your job or that's all we have for you.
Exactly.
Did you ever think about pursuing improv, really anything related to that during, I guess, your hiatus? I mean, those 40 years. Right? You were just busy.
I never did. Well, we'd still go to a lot of theater.
Yeah.
Still, I'd go to the Groundlings, maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah, see some shows.
See what's going on. And, but it never occurred to me to get back in it. And now I'm at the point where in my practice, I'm sort of rounding third, heading for home. So I'm not quite sure when I'm going to reach it and close up the practice.
Yeah.
Not sure whether I'm going to cross home plate or have to slide into home plate. But the idea was, I want to do something for fun.
Yeah.
And so that's what I got into.
Yeah.
And I said, that's what I'll try. And I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it since I did it.
All right. So when you decided to pick this place, you finish your brunch one day, you walk by, you see the sign. I think I'm going to find out what this place is all about.
Right.
Who was your first class with here? Kind of what was that first maybe month like for you?
That was Benjamin. We'd start off, with the whole group. I don't think anybody in that first class had much experience. They were mostly newbies. And, we'd get around and we'd start, doing some of the games. And it was just like nothing else was on my mind. I wasn't thinking about what I had on my desk that I hadn't done or what I needed to do or anything. It was just play with it.
Yeah.
You want to be silly, be silly. You want to get serious, turn it on. So that was it.
Yeah. And were you any sort of nervousness or stage fright coming in, or you're just, I've done this before, I'm back?
It wasn't really that. I mean, I was pretty much used to being on a stage type thing.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of lecturing and talking in various areas of the law. I'm involved with a program that just had its 50th anniversary at USC, which is an annual all-day session on trust and estate work, which is what I do. And I was the chair of that for about 25 years. And so appearing in front of 400 or 500 lawyers and accountants, to run that show never really bothered me.
Yeah. So, you've put in the work.
I've put in the time, and it hasn't. I don't have stage fright.
Yeah, yeah. That's long gone.
Did a little bit of debating in college too.
That'll prepare you for anything. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that's harder than improv. I think.
Especially loss. Yeah, that's what it prepares you for.
Yeah, because you just can't win every debate.
That's true.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so as an improviser, from your time starting here, you said about 6 months ago to now, what are some of the things or areas you've grown in your improv work?
I think the most important thing is sharpening my listening capabilities. I'm quick to jump in. If I have a position to take, I start to take the position, and if somebody's coming in, we're doing an oral argument or we're doing a court argument or whatever, I'm jumping ahead. I'm not listening as clearly as I should. And with improv, it's not a one-man show. It's a group, whether it's only 2 or 3 or 5 or whatever. But, you're playing off each other. And unless you're listening and watching, you're doing a solo. And that's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So the hardest thing for me was to know when to step back and to shut up.
Yeah.
And then react.
Yeah, it's sharing that stage versus
sharing the stage.
Yeah, taking control of it yourself. And I imagine hearing about some of your past experience, a lot of times you've been the one on stage, right? You've been leading things, or whether that's giving a lecture or even in a debate, right, where you're fighting for your position.
Yeah. I do have a little bit of that ego involved in this stuff.
Well, yeah, I think it goes along with the work. I think you need it. Yeah. It's important. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting. What's something you're still hoping to improve on in your improv?
Knowing the one that always gets me is the clap-ins. The biggest problem I have is I'm not sure what the sign is for clapping out. I clap in and somebody else claps in and I don't remember to get the hell off the stage.
Oh, yeah.
And so on several instances with Matt, can't get off. You're done.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
But so I have to focus on, if I come in, then I got to get out.
Yeah. Because I think sometimes those scenes can get a little messy. Like if it's at the end of class,
especially. Yeah.
So it can be hard to know when it's like, right. Yeah. Time for me to move on. I'd never done clap-ins before I came to IFTP.
Yeah.
I hadn't done them in other places. I don't do them at the Groundlings, to my experience.
No, I had not understood that of coming in, particularly the way we tend to do them here anyway. Is you try to bring in what's happened during the rest of the class or the early part of the class.
Yeah.
So you try and throw in some of that
all those
stuff.
callbacks.
Exactly. And that's fun, but it's also, as I'm getting older, my memory of those things is a little looser.
Yeah.
So I sometimes forget what we might have done.
Yeah. Yeah. Harder to pull that back in. Yeah. It's a unique format. One, I still, I don't love it, but I do it because I know it's good for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't love clap-ins, but I know it pushes me as an improviser every time I do them. You just got to clap, get out there. Even if you don't have an idea for an initiation, just do something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, space work, say a line, whatever that is.
I like the space work.
Yeah.
I find that fun. And I like characters.
Yeah.
I like to, it's easy for me to play an old man, but sometimes I've gone out and tried to play, I'm a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
What was Benjamin Button, play it like that.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
But there's a broad spectrum.
Yeah, improv doesn't limit you to what you can play. Right. Yeah, it's not.
Or how you play it.
Yeah. It's one of the things I've always loved is coming from a theater background. Casting is, you have a type, right? Everybody's got a type. Not everyone is meant to play the lead. Maybe you're a character actor, maybe you're this or this. But improv, I love, you can show up on stage and your cast is whatever you want to be and whatever fits the need of the scene, which is just so much fun.
Yeah. There was one scene with the Groundlings that I can recall when we were playing cavemen and without language. And so I remember for some reason there was one fairly attractive woman in the class, and we were all playing that together. And what I did is I, was grunting and moving, and all of a sudden I just moved over to her, flipped her over my shoulder, and started walking off to the cave, which that was fun, and everybody laughed and everything. But normally I wouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that part.
Yeah, but it fit the need of the scene, I think.
It fit the need of the scene, or my need.
Yeah, that's true. But it added to the story, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. So it seems like to me you've been a patron of the Groundlings, either involved in classes or attending shows there for a long time, right? You've probably seen a lot of change in the studio over the years, would you think? Or maybe have you seen the Groundlings evolve at all? Or how have you seen it change?
I really haven't. There's probably a period of maybe 20 years between, just going back. So I haven't known how they've evolved or not evolved.
Yeah.
The only comparative that I can think of is I've watched SNL,
of course,
for 50 years.
Yeah.
And that's evolved tremendously.
Yeah.
Although I'd much prefer the early grouping.
Those kind of first 5 seasons,
And the relationships between those people who are all spectacular.
Yeah.
And, today's cast are good, but, if they're very good, they leave.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't stay long, and then you lose a lot of talent.
Yes.
Yeah, because folks want to go have careers and make movies and
make money.
Yeah. Yeah. I once had an aspiration that I wanted to be on SNL, that my priorities in life changed, but yeah, I was very into the history of everything. There's that great book, it's like the uncensored history of SNL, and yeah, it just kind of goes through all the details of all the kind of shenanigans over the years. It's an interesting place. So what do you think? What is it about those early shows that you miss? Besides the cast, is it the humor, the sketches?
Yeah, no, it's really the sketches, and and they built certain characters that were constantly coming back.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy's with Mr. Robinson, and Bellucci with the samurai.
Yeah.
And those things were, and Gilda Radner with Rosanna Dana.
Yeah.
I mean, and whenever they do a different sketch, but it would always be that character. And so you sort of could relate to them and enjoyed watching them develop.
Yeah, and you'd see those characters in different situations and settings, which is what's interesting.
Yes.
It's like, okay, what if we put so-and-so here, so-and-so here? And I truthfully, I don't keep up with SNL as much as I used to, because I think it's just, cast erode over time, and, maybe you don't like a certain season as much, or a certain cast or a certain episode, and I don't know, you just find yourself watching other things.
Yeah, well, I still have at home discs, tapes of all the early Carol Burnett shows, and also Sid Caesar shows. And I'll watch those, currently, because they hold up. And I think that's the key of good comedy and good sketch work, is if it holds up, over time, which is, certain things are timeless.
Yeah. Yeah. I think something when I teach the sketch class here is kind of what we talk about at the beginning. When you're sitting down to write a sketch, there's kind of 2 different types. There's a timeless sketch and a premise-based sketch, which is often responding to something in the moment, right? As something politically that's happening in pop culture, something like that. Whereas something that's timeless, it can be funny when it was written. It can be funny now, right? We see that with Shakespeare comedies.
Sure.
We can still go see a Shakespeare comedy today and enjoy it and laugh at it, right? The humor holds up. The jokes hold up. And I think, seeing a lot of the older SNL sketches like those, I don't know that we'll look back the same way at modern SNL as we do kind of those original casts. Some of those sketches that have just still over time.
Well, the good part is that I probably won't be around to look back at modern.
You won't have to worry about it.
So
there you go.
Worry about it.
Yeah, I think of Monty Python a lot. A lot of their work, to me, I can still go back and watch that.
I love the idea of the men on horses. Just the brilliance of it.
Yeah,
just the cloppers.
Yeah. I love Ministry of Silly Walks is one of my favorites.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's one of everyone's favorites, but
who was it? Marty Feldman. Now walk this way, and as Hunchback in
Yeah.
Young Frankenstein.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mel Brooks. He's got some good stuff too.
There's another influence.
Yeah,
Anything that Mel Brooks did.
Yeah. Oh man.
Brilliant.
I love Young Frankenstein and Producers too. I'm a fan of that one. Yeah. Some great.
Although 12 Chairs is also a brilliant one of Mel Brooks, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Unusual. I don't think that gets much play.
Yeah, I don't know that one as well.
That's the one where there were 12 chairs from some Russian czar that have disappeared, and they got to try and recover them. It's crazy.
Just I mean, that right there, the premise. Okay, yeah, that sounds fun. Okay, so getting back to thinking about improv, just kind of in crossover to your work, do you think there's anything like from improv or that you've learned in improv that can cross over to your day job, your work as an attorney?
I think the one area that I feel it crosses over a little bit is I do a fair amount of mediation as a mediator. And my area of practice is really trust and estate work. And so the mediations basically are what we involve. The term we use is sandbox fights. Dad's dead, mom just died, and the two brothers and sisters are now fighting over what started in the sandbox, 50 years earlier. And I think in listening to those stories, it's helped from the listening practice that I get in the improv of trying to understand what's going on and that their feelings that they're expressing are always valid because they're their feelings. So the concept of whatever premise somebody wants to, come up with in an improv, that's valid. That's what you want to come up with. I'll go with it.
Yeah.
You want to say there's, spiders invading from Mars. Let's go for it. Get the raid and let's get going.
Yeah, let's take it and run with it.
Let's go with it.
That's that yes-anding.
That's right.
Hey, wow. I haven't heard the term sandbox fights, but I see. Yeah, like you said, it started when they were kids.
I never got a new bicycle. I always got the handed-down bicycle, and now I want that one.
Therefore, I should get...
Now I want the Testarossa.
Yeah, the thing changes a little bit, but the argument's the same. Yeah,
same argument.
Wow. Yeah. Makes you think. Okay. All right. I got a couple more questions for you, and then we're going to do some improv.
Okay.
All right. So so you've been at IFTP for about 6 months now.
Yep.
You've had Benjamin's class. Have you taken any other teachers?
Well, I've taken a couple classes from Matt. I've taken a couple classes from Ava.
Okay.
But the best thing that I did is I went on the weekend to camp.
Oh, okay. Was that? Oh, yeah. This past October, then.
Yes.
What was your experience like at camp?
I could have stayed for another 4 weeks. We drove up to Pally Camp, which is just past Lake Arrowhead. Beautiful place. And there was about 45 of us. And we did 2.5 days of improv. And it was fantastic. We had certain classes that were focused on character development, certain classes that were focused on stage work, and it was all different, and it was just fun. And then we had a break, which was the most fun, because we went into the camp area, and in the woods a little bit outside, they had an archery range and a axe range.
Oh, axe throwing.
Axe throwing. And so we all got out there to do that. And without being too braggadocious, I was, I think, the best in both.
Ooh. Did all right. Did all right.
But it took a little while to figure out the secret to the axe throwing is the distance you are from the target. Because the axe is going to do the same rotation pretty much no matter how you do it. And if you're too far, it's going to slap. And if you're too close, it's going to slap. So it's got to be, the right distance.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But the whole camp experience was great.
Yeah.
And it was a good experience.
Yeah, I had to miss this year. I've been the past couple of years, and I was disappointed because, I heard about the archery and axe throwing because that was all new. I know they were at a new location this year. Yes. So I'm a little jealous. But what do you think? Do you think there's value in camp versus, what's the difference between camp where it's an improv intensive, you think, versus week over week classes?
Oh, I think it's much better with the camp situation where you have a concentrated amount of time with pretty much the same group of people. I mean, you're not always in the same class with everybody.
It kind of mixes up.
But you do have 2 or 3 people that are going to be in all of your groups. And you start to develop, the more you know people, the better the relationship is, the better the improv will be.
Yeah.
Because you start to trust each other a little more. You know what they're capable of. And the idea of having a continuity without breaks, I mean, sometimes it takes a little bit, to get back into the swing, which is why I guess we start most of the classes with the group activities, just to get loose. But I felt the continuation was good. And it's a little more intense, too. You really get into a stream where you're really working.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the camp. Definitely would go again.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope to return this upcoming year. I missed it. I think I was at a wedding. You gotta go to weddings.
So you and your wife, right?
Yeah. Oh, not our wedding. We were at a friend's wedding. Yeah.
I would have guessed you'd have to be at that wedding.
Yeah. I was there for that one.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. So my last question for you, Ken.
Yes.
I was thinking about.
I'll double on my Jeopardy here.
All right. Perfect. Double Jeopardy. Here we go. So thinking about your work at IFTP. You've been here for 6 months. Looking ahead, right?
Yep.
It's the new year, January 20th, right?
Yep.
We got a lot of year ahead of us.
Yep.
Do you have any, within your either improv or maybe something else creative, is there any other goals or things you're maybe working towards or things you want to try?
Yes. I want to be in a show.
I like that goal.
Yeah.
I like that goal.
And I'm not pushing it. The one thing I would like, though, and I think would be helpful, at least to me, maybe to others, I'd like to get a little more feedback from the teachers about, what you should be working on and what's good and what's not so good. Some constructive critique.
Yeah.
But the goal is, because I think I almost have enough people to fill the audience who keep saying, when are you going to be in a show? When are you going to be in a show?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You got the crowd ready to go.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Listen, if I'm going to make an ass of myself, I might as well do it in front of people.
Put some butts in seats,
people
right?
Know me.
Yeah. And that's more fun anyway. I think that's a great goal to have. And I don't think it's wrong to put that out there. Say, hey, this is something I want to do. And, you continue to show up and work towards it. Yeah. I like that goal a lot. And I think it's definitely a different experience being in a show versus being in class.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah. And I think, you've done tons of getting up in front of crowds before, so it'd be no sweat. Yeah. When the time comes.
The only concern is that it'd be no laughs.
That I don't think I've ever seen that happen, because even when people are struggling, it's still a good time, for the audience. Like you said, you'd fill the seats.
Well, I think the key is that, since in many cases, particularly Matt, gets input from the audiences, so the audience becomes invested.
Oh yeah, they want to see their suggestions up there.
There's no fourth wall. And that's a good part.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the most fun because anytime you get the audience involved, they'll be rooting for the show to go well. Exactly. They paid to be there. They want it to go well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nobody's rooting for downfall.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. You ready to do a little improv, Ken?
I'm ready to do whatever you tell me.
Whatever. All right. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to play a little game. And, when I chose this game, I didn't actually know that you were a practicing attorney. So it's all the more ironic because in this game, you're a criminal. And in this game, I'm going to be a police officer interrogating you. So it's going to be your job I'll be kind of feeding you some clues. You'll be detailing the crime, but it's your job to guess. I'll explain this. You stole something. You don't know what it is. I know what it is. Throughout the course of the scene, you're going to have to guess what you stole. So I'll give you some hints. We'll play the scene back and forth. And at some point, you'll have to guess what you stole. Yeah. Any questions about the game?
No.
All right. Well, with that said, I'll get us started, and then I'll black us out when we're done. Probably when you've made a guess of what the object is that you stole.
I didn't steal anything.
All right. Lights up. All right, Mr. Jones. We all know why you're here. Theft. Come on, admit it. We know what you stole.
I didn't steal anything.
Oh, likely story, but look, we've got it all on tape. We saw when you broke into the store. The target, Mr. Jones.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Come on, Mr. Jones. We've got it on camera. You didn't have a mask on. We saw you break through those sliding doors.
I don't remember sliding doors. I might have been in a store, yeah, but I don't know. I don't remember taking anything. I was actually shopping.
You were just shopping after hours.
Well, I didn't know the store was closed. I mean, the store was open.
That's true. The lights were on. It's not your fault. But Mr. Jones, the doors were locked. You forced your way through. We saw you on camera.
I don't know about forcing. I mean, I fiddled around a little bit and pushed, and the door opened. I don't know.
You picked the lock. Look, I've seen this case hundreds of times.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Lock's broken. The sliding door's open. The person gets inside the building. So we saw you wandering around the store, passing through the aisles, and there were a couple things I think you threw in your basket.
Yeah.
There was one thing in particular that we're really worried about, and we're concerned. We don't understand why, but I'm wondering, Mr. Jones, why, when you were finished the store, why did you leave on a pogo stick? It was an odd choice.
I like pogo sticks. I've been using a pogo stick to get to work. I once tried to get into a circus when I was a kid on a pogo stick.
Huh.
Yeah, I was good at pogoing.
Yeah.
That's pogoing. Pogoing.
Pogoing, yes,
Pogoing.
of course.
Pogoing.
Of course, yeah. So that ideal choice for an escape vehicle then. Smart.
Well, I couldn't
Smart.
find a unicycle.
Yeah. We checked with the store's manager. They were out of stock. Yeah. But
I didn't steal anything.
Mr. Jones, we saw you. You headed into the office supplies aisle. It's kind of where I got concerned. I just thought, this is something that most people have at home, you know? I just don't know why you would need to steal it.
Yeah. Well, I'm really confused. I called my lawyer. Is he here yet? I'm not sure I should be.
It's all right. It's all. We're just having a conversation, Mr. Jones.
Right.
This is off the record. Off the record.
Oh, all right.
It's off the
As long
record.
as it's off the record.
Just having a conversation.
fair.
Would you like some coffee?
Fair enough. No, I don't drink coffee.
Donuts? Anything?
No, don't eat donuts.
Understood.
You got a pretzel?
Pretzel?
A pretzel.
Pretzel. I can work on getting one for you.
I love a pretzel.
All right. Could we get a pretzel here?
Yeah, with a little bit of cream cheese. Nice.
10, 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it shouldn't take too long. There's I think a place down the street. All right. But back to the question.
Yes.
It's a conversation.
Yes.
Conversation.
Yes. You got a video.
You were in the office supplies aisle.
Yeah.
Something you grabbed. Something that most folks have at home.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I'm trying to figure out what you're working on, why you needed this item. I don't know if you're working on a scrapbook or, trying to get some coupons, but it's just, I don't know. I don't understand. Why would you steal this?
Well, I thought I put my credit card down on the thing, but my printer at home is busted, and so I saw this printer, and I figured I had to get some documents out for work, and I figured as long as I left a credit card, it probably wouldn't be a problem. And when the guy comes in the morning, he'll see the card. I left a note, here's my card. Charge me for the printer and the paper that I took. And I thought everything would be okay.
Yeah. Well, it was a respectable thing for you to do, to leave that credit card there, and we appreciated the note when we found it a few hours later. But you grabbed the printer, you grabbed the paper, but there was also that other item that maybe sometimes you print something out, it's a little too big. You've got to change the size of it, and this item would help you do that.
Well, I need a slicer in order to cut the pictures down.
Yeah.
And I didn't have one of those at home. The blade wasn't that thing.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to make that work too.
Yeah. I mean, you grabbed the slicer, the printer paper, and those are other items you took, but it's not the one I'm most interested in. I guess this item, there's kids versions, there's adult versions, usually a pair. I'm trying to think, maybe you were also making some paper snowflakes. You needed this item for making paper smaller, maybe cutting out coupons.
Yeah, but I never ran when I got him. I never run with scissors. I was told never run with scissors. So, and did the fact that the credit card wasn't mine, did that make a difference?
We did notice that the name didn't line up with yours, Mr. Jones. But if I am looking at all the facts here, you didn't run with the scissors.
Right.
And
I didn't run with the slicer. And I got the printer and the paper. That's a lot of shit to take out.
That's a lot to take, yeah. And go on a pogo stick on your way out.
Well, that was the fun part. That was the fun part.
I'm looking at this case here, Mr. Jones, and I think if you had run, that would have looked incredibly guilty.
Yes.
Just for the fact that we strongly advise against running with scissors.
Right.
And that's what guilty people do, is they run.
But you can pogo stick with them.
You can pogo stick.
Because you go up and down at the same time. It doesn't hurt.
It's safe. They move with you.
Right, exactly.
So I think we're gonna let you off here.
Yeah.
But this was just a conversation, though. But
I appreciate that.
You're free to go.
Would you cancel my lawyer? Because I don't want to have to pay.
I'll give him a call.
I don't want to have to pay for it.
Of course, yeah, because they'll charge you for the hour. And
I know.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
All right. Blackout. When you said paper slicer, I was like, oh, we're so close.
So it was scissors.
It was scissors. Yeah. So you got it. I was like, oh, he got it. Because you were like printer, and I was like, oh, I see you're thinking. Yeah, paper slicer. It was all there.
I wasn't thinking of something as simple as scissors.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I don't know. It's just like, what's an odd thing to steal?
But the kid versus the adult size, that was good.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah. I needed to throw you a bone. You'd gotten so close with Slicer. So, I mean, it's cutting. It does all the same things. Yeah. It's just not a pair. All right. So thank you for playing that game with me. Before we conclude, any last words you want to leave us with tonight, Ken? Last words for the episode.
It was fun. It was exciting. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I didn't spend the time preparing for it that Matt said I should do. It's hopeful that it will encourage my development and my career.
Yeah.
And it was certainly worth, I think, the $250 that Matt said that it would cost for me to do this. So I appreciate that, and I enjoyed it.
Good. Well, I'm glad to have you on, Ken. And
My pleasure.
It's an improv podcast. You don't need to prepare. That's my job.
Well, blackout.
Improv for the Podcast was created by Matt Moore and Michael Lee Evans. Edited and produced by Michael Lee Evans. And finally, presented by Improv for the People. Interested in more IFTP? You can visit us at improvforthepeople.com or on our socials, such as Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Remember, new episodes are released weekly. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.